Hi everyone, I'm Sarah and welcome back to my channel, and today I'm bringing you my mid-year freakout tag. So I'm bringing this to you a little bit late, but better late than never, and I am excited to bring this to you, but also I realized incredibly quickly filling out this list that I have not read a lot of books this year. So far, the best book read in 2020. This was a really tough one for me because I was torn between two books, Elantris by Brandon Sanderson and The Farm by Joanne Ramos. But I decided to go with The Farm by Joanne Ramos just because it was such an unexpected thing that I really loved. I did not expect to give it 5 stars. I did not expect to love it as much as I did. It was just a fantastic book. It's a sort of dystopian novel about these group of women who live in a surrogacy compound, and their lives are basically monitored and accounted for every second of every day. Really interesting, a lot of good discussion points, and just an incredible surprise. I just really enjoyed it. Loved it. Okay, so here's where things start to go off the rails, because the next question is like the best sequel I've read in 2020, and I haven't read any sequels yet. Whoopsie. It's fine. I've started a couple of things and I've wanted to start a couple of things, but I just never actually read a sequel. But I can say that the sequel I'm most excited for is The Dragon Republic by R.F. Kuang. I absolutely loved The Poppy War, and this is actually on my July TBR, so I'm hoping to get to that this month. Tune into my wrap-up to see if I did. Newest release that I haven't read yet, I'm actually going to go with The Guest List by Lucy Foley. I have heard just really, really good things about this book. I've heard it's really engaging and really captivating, and I like the kind of classic like whodunit, but everyone has motive and everyone has needs and everyone had an opportunity. I find those really fascinating, and I love trying to play detective along with it, and usually I'm wrong, but it's all fun and games, guys. No one's counting on me to solve this mystery, so we're all good there. So the most anticipated release in the second half of 2020 is 1000% The Burning God by R.F. Kuang. I have fallen in love with the series, I've fallen in love with these characters, and I've fallen in love with R.F. Kuang as a writer, and so I am so incredibly excited for the third in this trilogy. The biggest disappointment so far in 2020 was actually A Heart So Fierce and Broken by Brigid Kemmerer. I really enjoyed A Curse So Dark and Lonely. I thought it was a really fun sort of twist. I really liked the characters, I really liked the twists, I really liked the kind of world that Kemmerer created, but A Heart So Fierce and Broken just kind of took everything that was good and interesting about the first book and made it irrelevant and completely changed everything and changed a lot of the characters and their dynamics. Which is fine to change everything, but like there wasn't an explanation I felt like that was good enough as to what warranted all these changes. And so it was just an incredibly weak sequel to me. A lot of people liked it, so I'm happy to be in the minority in this one. The biggest surprise, the biggest surprise of 2020 is The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. Okay, so are you surprised that this book slash series slash author has already made this list 3 times? Because you shouldn't be. I know that I said The Farm by Joanne Ramos was a massive surprise, but this book surprised me more as to how much I fell in love with this world and these characters. I am a big fantasy reader. I like the world building. I like different worlds and cultures and civilizations, and I love kind of learning about these new worlds. But when I found out that this one was like a military fantasy epic, I was kind of like, yeah, I don't know, I think I'm gonna wait on it. I'm not really interested in that, and I wish I had read this as soon as it came out because I love it so much. I feel like I've wasted so much time not being able to read this book. This book is so great. I really loved the characters, I loved the world, I loved the setup for the sequel, where I feel like I know where R.F. Kuang is going to go, but I'm totally fine if she changes it up, if she does something totally different. So I loved this book so much. I cannot wait to keep reading this series. And again, favorite new author, R.F. Kuang. I don't feel like I need to say anything more than that. My favorite new author. My newest fictional crush, I think it's gonna be Raoden from Elantris. He was the crown prince turned Elantrian who sort of incited a personal rebellion in the people who lived in Elantris because they were ostracized and cast out of society. And I really liked his character. He felt naive but good-hearted, and like that he was actively trying, and I don't know, I kind of just fell in love with him a little bit. Newest favorite character? Again, the Poppy Wars is coming back, you guys. I've not read a whole lot this year, and the Poppy War just is such a standout. Rin. I love Rin. I did a reading diary for this book that I have yet to edit and post, but don't worry about it, it's fine. But I think I said like it was like chapter 2 when I was reading, and I'm like, I've only known Rin for like 20 minutes, but I love her so much that I would die for her at this point. Like, I love her so much. And then she just kept making like dumb decision after dumb decision, but every time I was there being like, you're doing great, sweetie, you just keep doing you, it's fine, I'm sure it's all gonna work out, or it's not, but you know, like life, what are you gonna do? She's just such a fun character because the author allows her to be not perfect and kind of allows her to make mistakes and has to deal with consequences of her actions. So it makes for such an interesting, fun character, and I love her. The next prompt is a book that made you cry. That was My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell. This is a very intensive book to read. It deals with the relationship between a teenager and her English teacher, and it's told in sort of two different timelines, one when she's the teenager and one when she's I believe she's 30 or over 30 years old in the future, and how she has to confront the actual reality of that relationship and how it wasn't a relationship and it wasn't love, and this whole thing, and how it's still affecting her today, like how she is as an adult. It was just absolutely heartbreaking to read at times, and I cried a lot reading this. This was a tough one. And the next prompt is a book that made you laugh. This one was a little bit of a tougher one for me to find because I don't often read like humorous, like laugh out loud books, so I had to really think about it. And I decided upon Someone to Love by Mary Balogh. This is a historical romance that follows an orphan named Anna who ends up finding out that she's actually the only legitimate daughter of this duke, or is he an earl? I think he's an earl. He's an earl. I just checked the back. He's an earl. She's the only legitimate daughter of an earl, and so she basically inherits a title and a ton of money and a ton of land. But the way that it all came out was like a dramatic, straight out of a soap opera moment, and it was hysterical to read. I remember laughing really hard because it was just like so funny to read that all play out. So the next prompt is the most beautiful book you've purchased this year, and I have to go with The Kingdom of Copper by S.A. Chakraborty. Look at how beautiful this is, like a holographic cover, but look at this shiny cover. I purchased this at the beginning of the year because I had her first book, and I know that first book was really beautiful, and I was really excited to read the first book, and when I saw this one at the bookstore, I fell in love with this cover, and I'm like, I need this book right now. So look at how beautiful this is. It's gorgeous. Love it. The last sort of prompt is to what books do I need to read by the end of 2020? And boy, that list is a long one. But I have narrowed it down to 4 because a lot of them are a little bit chunky. So I am in the middle of reading the Area X trilogy by Jeff Vandemeer, which is Annihilation, Authority, and Acceptance. I read Authority earlier this year and found it interesting. Like, I found it interesting enough to like want to keep reading, but I do know that the next 2 books in the series are written in a completely different format, and so I've been a little bit hesitant to pick it back up, but I would like to finish it by the end of the year. We'll see. Another book I want to read is Mistborn or The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. I would like to read this whole trilogy because I find the premise incredibly fascinating. It has been a book series that's been on my list or radar for quite a few years. We'll see. We will see, everyone. We'll see. Another book I'm trying to read this month is The City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty. And I know, I just told you that I bought the sequel and thought it was the prettiest book I bought all year. And you're probably like, but Sarah, why did you buy the sequel without reading the first book? Because it's gorgeous looking. Look at how gorgeous this is. And also, I have really high expectations for this book. I think I'm really gonna like it. It feels like it ticks a lot of boxes for me, and I've heard fantastic things about it. So, I needed them both. And I'm gonna read them this year. Coming at you. And then I do want to read some N.K. Jemisin, and specifically, I want to read The Inheritance Trilogy by N.K. Jemisin. Look at how chunky this guy is. This is a massive book. It's also 3 books in one. I have had this book for so long. I'm currently on page 202 of the first book, but I honestly don't quite remember the specifics of what has been happening, so I'm gonna have to restart because I started at the beginning of the year. But I would like to at least read one of N.K. Jemisin's series. If it's not the Inheritance Trilogy, then one of her other ones, because she is an author that I have enjoyed what I've read by her. I just haven't read her actual, like, full-length series, really. I haven't finished a series. So I would like to do that. So I'm gonna try to read this one. It's just so intimidating, you guys. Look at that. Like, imagine picking this bad boy up and being like, yeah, I'm gonna read this real quick. This is, how many pages is this thing? Oh my god, this is so long. This is 1,442 pages long. What can you do? So yeah, so that's my mid-year book freakout tag. I feel bad that I put the Poppy Wars / RF Kuang on here so many times, but also it was so good that I can't feel that bad about it. Let me know in the comments below if you've read any of these books, what you thought about them, and let me know if there's any books on my books I must read by the end of 2020 list should be bumped up to the top. That would be super helpful to know. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope that you have a fantastic day.